All right, obviously we are having some issues for some reason with Flash Player. I'm not sure what's going on, kind of choppy. But we'll get through it, I guess. I hope the audio is okay. Let me know if the audio is not. Here we go.
That's why Carolina's in Chapel Hill and USC's in California. And the university in this state always has been, always will be, Clemson. Print that, tweet that.
And I hope they come in here undefeated. That's what I told you before the game. Our team believes. Our team believes. They got heart. We got greatness in us. They say we can't do it. What they say now?
Down go the Champs. Auburn's 17-game win streak comes to an end.
We got greatness in us. So I told them, you got greatness in you, but you got to make a decision to be great. They made a decision to be great today. And I couldn't think of a better place to end the streak than Death Valley, South Carolina.
And now it's time for TigerNet Talk, presented by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty.
They got the coaches back, and they have each other's back.
Welcome back into another edition of TigerNet Talk, episode number 187. Thank you so much for being here with us, Clemson Tiger fans, as we roll along the summer months. I think I counted it up the other day. Was it six Mondays till game week, I believe. So a month and a half virtually until it's game week. The Clemson Tigers, of course, and the Georgia Bulldogs kicking things off in a primetime matchup in Death Valley, August 31st. And don't forget the South Carolina Gamecocks as well will be opening the college football season that Thursday. So even for Gamecock fans out there, that window even smaller than it is for all you Tiger fans. And let's kick the show off with Sammy Watkins. Did you like the comments that Sammy Watkins had to say about the Georgia Bulldogs? Now, for Sammy Watkins, back in 2003, he was just a youngster. He doesn't remember exactly how things went down in Death Valley as the Georgia Bulldogs put a 30-0 shellacking on the Clemson Tigers. But Sammy is the ultra-confident one this season coming in, and I can't blame him. I think when you look back to his freshman year at Clemson, he clearly showed America that he has an elite ability, an elite talent. He is a rare player in college football. And Sammy Watkins just came out and said it flat out that if Clemson comes into this game and plays well against Georgia, they shouldn't just beat them, they should beat the mess out of them. Sammy thinks that would get the season off in the right direction, get things started the right way for the Clemson Tigers. Do you agree with Sammy Watkins coming out and saying that, Tiger fans? That's what I want to know from you tonight. If you agree with him, tweet to us, #TNTalk. Do you like the swag? Do you like the confidence? Some would say it might be arrogance. And this is a kid who, let's not forget, this time last season was reeling from an off-season arrest and trying to really save face and staying very quiet. But now Sammy, a little bit out of his shell. Not a disappointing season last year. There are people out there in the media that will say it was a disappointing season, but when you consider the injuries, when you consider everything that went on for Sammy Watkins, 57 receptions, 708 yards, 3 touchdown catches, not the season that he had his freshman year, obviously, but a very good season by the standard of many wide receivers in America and most of the wide receivers in Clemson's history. But it's a different game with Chad Morris in town. So I certainly want to know what you think about that. #TNTalk. Let us know. Do you agree or disagree with Sammy Watkins and what he had to say? He's a youngster. He's made mistakes off the field. I'm not saying this is a mistake by any means. Personally, I like it. I want the confidence. And it's Taj Boyd who has led this team so frequently. I think it's nice to see Sammy finally stepping back out, because last year, Sammy Watkins wasn't a vocal leader publicly, I didn't feel. I think Sammy was in some ways licking his wounds still, and how could you blame him? I mean, you go from literally, and flash back to his first interview as a Clemson Tiger wide receiver. After the game, post-game interview, Sammy Watkins was wearing a grill. And I don't know that it was, and look, and I don't care. It doesn't bother me. You can wear a grill. You cannot wear a grill. None of that stuff really affects me personally at all. But there were a lot of people out there who thought pretty negatively about it. A lot of people saying, "Oh, what are there character issues with this kid?" And when you look around the spectrum of college sports and professional sports, the issues with players on and off the field, Sammy, who was clearly showing an unbelievable amount of talent his first year, unbeknownst to us even at that point, I don't think we really knew what he would become. Now, Dabo Swinney clearly said he saw it early on. He saw it in one of the first practices with Sammy Watkins, that he was going to be a special receiver his freshman year. But that was the only time we saw that grill. And you wonder if somebody over in the public relations department said, "Hey, Sammy, the grill in the post-game interviews just doesn't quite cut it." Craig in the chat room says we froze up. No audio or video for the people in the live chat room. I'll try to fix that. Things aren't perfect here right now because something is going on with our Flash player. Our Flash player has left us in quite a conundrum for some reason. I'm pretty sure that the YouTube version of the show will be okay. It may be a bit jumpy. Hopefully, we can get it better for everybody else who's trying to watch the program now, though, live on Spreecast. And I don't know why it's become a problem. Hopefully that got us back up. Just the other day, the computer was freezing up, and I thought I'd uninstall Flash and reinstall it because I thought maybe that was the problem. Hopefully I'm going to avoid the freezing here. I'm going to ask and see if I'm better in the chat room. Hopefully we are. Okay, so we're back. And so when you think about that and whether they discussed that with Sammy or not, taking that grill out, I think it was an important thing that he's changed. Maybe something that you haven't seen from a whole lot of players in post-game interviews since. And I think it directly relates to Dabo Swinney and the aura around this team and what he wants to present. Now, look, you can look at back-to-back double-digit win seasons. The thing that people always go back to now, though, is with Dabo Swinney, unfortunately, is not getting done what Tommy Bowden was able to get done, and that was beating South Carolina on a frequent basis. But Sammy Watkins coming out of the gun, laying it all out there, saying basically that we shouldn't just beat them. Let me get the exact quote. If we come out and beat Georgia, not just beat them, but beat the mess out of them like we should, I don't see no problems in getting started in the right direction. Sammy thinking the Tigers can go 12-0 through the regular season, perhaps 11-1. Lots of pigskin prognosticators out there thinking about how good this team could be. One of the team's leaders, and arguably the second biggest player and important player on this team this season, behind Taj Boyd, says that we should beat the mess out of Georgia. What do you think? Hashtag TN Talk. Email us, Clemson81@gmail.com. TigerNet Talk presented by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty. GDawg Dental Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about GDawg here on the Clemson Sports Dog programs and receive an extra 5% off all services. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at GDawg. That's Dental Dentistry at Oak Grove. A winning team requires having great team members. If you're a landowner interested in selling timber or are considering buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. Put the knowledge and skills of professional licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about services offered by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC, visit www.crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate or reach them by phone 864-517-3620 or 864-517-3621. Clemson Sports Talk fans, let us help you. With rates starting as low as $100 a month, you can advertise with us through July 2013. We are currently seeking additional advertisers and would love to help you spread the word about your business. Email us clemson81@gmail.com for additional information. Sponsors will receive an ad during the show and a link and logo in the weekly show notes on TigerNet and on the front page of ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Take your business to the Clemson fans around the world with us. ClemsonSportsTalk.com.
I thought I'd grow up and I'd settle down, but there was 10,000 girls up in Tiger Town, and it was heaven to me.
Bartlett Sheely checks in with us. You can follow him on Twitter. He's at BSheely13. He says, we've missed the confidence and swag the last few years. Nothing wrong with it as long as he backs it up. Hashtag Go Tigers, hashtag TN Talk. Thank you, Bartlett, for checking out the show, man. I really appreciate it. And, I'm kind of down there with you. I feel the same way. I mean, I like the fact that we've got this confidence going into this game. Looks like the live feed may be down again. Bartlett's reporting. Hopefully it's back up. I'm not sure. Anyway, we're going to roll on. I hate it because I know the people that like to tune into the show, you want to see it. You don't want to have to catch it in the podcast edition. And certainly that won't be a problem in the future. As you know, if you listen to last week's show, we made a major announcement here on the program. Clemson Sports Talk will be coming to 560 a.m. The Team in Columbia, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can listen to the program on 560theteam.com. If you live in and around Columbia, virtually 85% of the state gets 560 a.m. You can hear it in your car. Or, even better, if you have the iHeartRadio application on your smartphone. You have that on your smartphone, guess what? You've got us in your pocket. You've got us on your iPad, your Android, your iPhone, whatever. And you can listen to us 6 to 8 each and every evening as we talk about your team, the Clemson Tigers. We're going to have former players, former coaches. We're going to have media members who cover the Tigers, media members who cover the Gamecocks. You know what? You got to get that side of the story every once in a while. You got to know what's going on in enemy territory. Am I right? You have to know a little bit about that. But we're going to focus the show on you Clemson Tiger fans, not only in the Midlands but around the state of South Carolina, and we're looking to take this show worldwide on iHeartRadio, and I hope that you will help us spread the word as we kick things off next Monday, July the 15th. July 15th, 2013, 6 o'clock at night. The show will kick off for the first time. I'm making a couple of guest appearances over on 560 a.m. The Team this week. As a matter of fact, tomorrow morning, that's Monday, 10 a.m., I'll be on the locker room with Eric G. and the captain, Kerry Rich, as we talk about our program and a whole lot more there. I'll be on, I believe, from 10 to 11 the whole hour. So I'm going to have an opportunity to sit down with them and tell them about our program, how we got to where we are. And, if you're a business out there in Columbia, the surrounding area, the Midlands, and you need to advertise, contact us. We'd love to give you one of our Clemson Sports Talk combo packages. The ad you just heard during the commercial break there, of course, breaking it down, our lowest rates that we have available for TigerNet Talk as well, still at $100 a month, minus a couple of things that you heard in that previous commercial. But we can get you all that information if you want to know about it. We'd love to have you on board supporting our programs, and thank you so much to all our sponsors who have supported us for so long. And, of course, this program, as always, brought to you by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty. Check them out online, www.crosscreektimber.com and www.crosscreekrealtyllc.com. Steve Smith, his team, they'll take care of you. I promise you that. Check them out online. A perfect fit for Tiger fans out there. And you know what? They're more than willing to do work with Gamecocks, Bulldogs. It doesn't matter. But for you Tiger fans, they support our program, so make sure that you support them. Well, the Clemson Tigers had the 5th toughest non-conference schedule in 2013, according to the Sporting News. They've got Clemson's matchups against Georgia, South Carolina State, the Citadel, and South Carolina ranked as one of the top 5 non-conference schedules in the entire country this season. Pretty impressive when you consider the fact that Clemson, unfortunately, much like many of the teams over in the Atlantic Coast Conference, are constantly criticized for their strength of schedule. And sure, I think we all realize that when you go through the likes of the Wake Forest, perhaps the Syracuses of the world, the Boston colleges, there's going to be people out there who are going to say, you know what, those teams don't stack up comparatively to what you see perhaps in the SEC, maybe in the Big Ten. Maybe even some people would believe that the Pac-12 is another conference where you're going to see that type of, I guess, depth from top to bottom. And then you've got the others looking over at the Big 12 as well. It's another conference where you, and of course the Big 12 with only, what are they, 10 teams now, or have they jumped to 11? I can't even keep up with this ever-flowing door of conferences. At least in the Atlantic Coast Conference, it's not like the Atlantic Coast Conference 12 or 13 or 14. It's just the ACC. Just like the SEC, we get it right. We don't need to tell you how many teams are in our conference. That's not important. It's not something you need to know. You just need to know it's the ACC. But this league, obviously, adding Louisville in a couple of seasons, getting Notre Dame involved in the schedule. We've said it before. You talk about this Atlantic Coast Conference, what was in the past, and clearly what Danny Ford's Atlantic Coast Conference was like compared to what Dabo Swinney's conference was like, it's night and day. It's night and day. And I think when the push comes to shove, when there's enough, I guess, enough of a body of work for Dabo Swinney, assuming that he remains the head coach at Clemson for the foreseeable future, that there are going to be people who are going to look at the schedule that he went up against versus what Danny Ford went up against. You're going to realize this guy's done a miraculous job through a tougher Atlantic Coast Conference. Now, there are more games. That means there's more opportunity to get the 10-win season, something that Danny Ford virtually made a living on. And had there been more games in the season than when they played the 11-game schedule plus a bowl game, Danny Ford could have, added up 2, 3, maybe even 4 more 10-win seasons to his resume. But this new Atlantic Coast Conference, this new face, there's no reason to feel shamed if you're in the ACC. There's no reason to feel like you're the 5th best of the 5 major conferences. You get a chance, though, to go out and prove it each and every weekend, and a lot of these natural rivalries right here, the Georgia Techs versus Georgia, Clemson and Carolina, Clemson and Georgia, North Carolina versus South Carolina. The ACC is going to get an opportunity this season, Florida State versus Florida. Letdown games in recent years for the Atlantic Coast Conference can finally be stepping stone games, proving themselves nationally as the entire shape and landscape of college football changes as we head towards this new playoff system, which will allow 4 teams in. So for Clemson, though, to go out and I'm not a big fan of playing South Carolina State or playing the Citadel, but I am a fan of supporting those in-state schools. But if that were to be the difference, if that were to be the difference in Clemson playing for a national championship and not because of strength of schedule, because of those 2 games, then I do have a significant problem with it. I'll give you one. I'll give you one in-state school and feel okay with that. Maybe you do too. But 2 of those teams bothers me just a little bit because it could be the stickler at the end that keeps you out. Love to know your thoughts about that. I know the schedule got ranked as one of the top 5 in the country. Clearly, Georgia, South Carolina have a top 5, out-of-conference schedules in the country. Clearly, Georgia and South Carolina played a big part in that. South Carolina State, the Citadel, not so much. But there are a lot of teams out there that don't schedule up big games out of conference. You can look, in my mind, at a team like Florida, who coincidentally this season gets ranked 3rd in this exact same list, but they're playing Toledo, they go to Miami, they play Georgia Southern and Florida State. Now they're getting ranked there on the backs of Miami, which in my mind, I know a lot of people have them playing for the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship this season, coming out of the Coastal Division. I'm not sold on Miami being an elite team this year. Florida State, another team, lots of questions at the quarterback position. For me, Jameis Winston, the number 1 guy at Florida State, is he going to turn out to be the quarterback that can lead them? So I kind of look at this and I go, I don't know that I exactly agree with that. But Florida's a team that never leaves the state of Florida to play anybody. When's the last time Florida went on the road? We've talked about this before. When's the last time Florida went on the road out of conference to play somebody worth 10 cents? Somebody please let me know that. But Clemson, with one of the top 5 toughest non-conference schedules, I'd love to know what you think about it, though. You could have been number 1. And I know things fall through. I can remember looking at these future schedules for Clemson that had Oklahoma on them, and you're thinking, oh, man, that's a huge game. And this shifting landscape has, to some degree, affected that. In fact, Florida State, I think it was last season, scrounging around to try and find somebody to play as they were kind of up against the gun, one of the final teams, and people were wondering, why is it taking the Atlantic Coast Conference so long to put out their schedule? Well, Florida State was trying to fill a spot. So you've got teams that back out, but clearly Clemson, going up against Georgia, going up against South Carolina, you make a run through the Atlantic Coast Conference, and this schedule sets up very nicely for Clemson with open weeks and Thursday night games. And Tiger fans may not like Thursday night games because we haven't done well in them in recent years. Craig Harmon says a lot of SEC schools have crap for out-of-conference games. It's true. It's true. And you know what I notice? The respect that Clemson gets in this Sporting News poll, because Georgia comes in at 7th and South Carolina comes in at 8th in strength of schedule for their out-of-conference. Of course, both of those teams, what do they have in common? They're playing your Clemson Tigers. So that says a lot about what the Sporting News thinks about Clemson as well. It will certainly be interesting. It's good, though, that Clemson's got this opportunity this year with the way the schedule sets up, a couple of open dates. You get those Thursdays, that extra day to prepare here and there. I really like the schedule. In fact, putting the Citadel before South Carolina, you know, the SEC schools have sort of patented that, where you play a weaker opponent, one of your smaller teams, in that final game going into your big rivalry game. I like that from Clemson's perspective. I just hope that we have enough standards in class that if somebody were to be suspended early in the season, we don't reserve it for that November 23rd matchup against the Citadel, because there have been schools in some conferences that, they hold the players out till that game. That's the one game they're suspended. That's not right, and I think that that's a major problem. We'll be back. Do you suffer from a chronic case of the woohoo during football games? Do your Saturdays sound something a bit like this? Well, TigerNet Talk is out to fix that. If we can band together, we can change this reoccurring issue. With a simple Go Tigers, Go Tigers Go, you can make a difference. Ban the woohoo. Do yourself a favor. And as always, Go Tigers. A winning team requires having great team members. If you're a landowner interested in selling timber or are considering buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. Put the knowledge and skills of professional, licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about the forestry and real estate services offered by Cross Creek Timber, call 864-517-3620 and Cross Creek Realty, LLC at 864-517-3621. Or visit www.crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate. GDawg Dental Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about GDawg here on the Clemson Sports Dog programs and receive an extra 5% off all services. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at GDawg. That's Dental Dentistry at Oak Grove.
There's something about looking and feeling classy that everyone enjoys. Check out Edisto Outdoors, an apparel brand inspired by our southern animals and environment. These shirts feature soft touch prints that will keep you looking your best in all types of weather. Look for Edisto Outdoors coming soon to many fine retailers across the state, or visit www.edistooutdoors.com. Technical, comfortable, livable.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsDog.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that.
We turned up, we run down the hill, we so turned up. Rock the rock, hit the field, no competition, we first up. Offense is too fast, defense ain't scared, boy. Line up against me, we drop you on your head, boy.
Welcome back into Clemson Sports Talk. Or shall I say TigerNet Talk, the new program, of course, Clemson Sports Talk, coming to 560 AM, the team in Columbia starting July the 15th. Lots of support from the folks on TigerNet. I see 74 Tigers says, I'm glad to see you got this because the quality here has been such that I wonder why you weren't on radio full-time. Best of luck or break a leg, whichever applies. And I do thank all of you for your support throughout the years. Watching the live show, picking up the podcast edition has been amazing, the support. I'm stunned at the number of people that I meet at football games that go, yeah, man, I already listened to your show. Because we don't get all the interaction maybe that I'm kind of hoping for with this live radio show. Of course, you can always call us here. Probably don't give the number out enough. It's right below us, though, if you're watching. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. That number's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, by the way. Striper fan says, glad to hear you got things worked out with 560 AM. And Coot Hater says, that's huge, but 2 years too late for me. I've moved from Irmo, but I'll listen online. By the way, Eric G. and the captain should not be too hard, kind of like playing Savannah State, a cakewalk. Oh, no, these guys are great. Let me tell you what, Kerry Rich called me a couple of days before the 4th. By the way, I hope you all had a great 4th of July. I had a chance to kind of relax and unwind. Got a lot to get done, though, over the next few weeks, as you can imagine, but Kerry gave me a call. Fantastic guy, just so supportive of our program coming to their station. And I think the realization for a lot of people out there and a lot of Tiger fans in the Midlands, this show came about because of the fact that there was nothing for Clemson fans, I felt like, who weren't in the golden corner of South Carolina. If you weren't within range of WCCP, you really didn't have a whole lot to listen to. You didn't have a chance to have somebody telling you about your team. And so we built this network back in 2004. We did a terrible 17-minute show. It's on archive.org if you want to hear it. I've told the story a million times. And from there, the show grew. I think we had like 200 downloads. And I remember B. Mice wrote me and said, man, you had 200 downloads. And I thought it couldn't be any greater. 200 people? And the numbers just built and built and built. And I do, man. I thank you all because without you, I wouldn't have gotten this opportunity. I certainly would not have pushed myself. But Clemson Sports Talk coming to 560 AM, the team. And I hope that you will join us. Spread the word. You got to use those Tiger Nation, I don't know, the network there to just help me out to get people to find out about our show, 6 to 8 p.m. Mike writes in. He says, hey, Swanee posted this on TigerNet but wanted to get your take. I've never been one to follow recruiting due to the fact that the kid can change his mind whenever he likes. However, I don't remember a time when we've had so many 4-star recruits in back-to-back recruiting classes. I don't want to chant the We Too Deep moniker, but I'm starting to think that we're getting pretty deep. O-line seems to be an issue as usual, but most other positions are stacking up nicely. Not only that, but we have a coaching staff that actually knows what to do with the talent we're recruiting. Multiple angles there, a bunch of layers to that. Let's talk first about the recruiting cycle and what this team has done so far. You look at Artavius Scott, announcing 4-star wide receiver that he intends to come to Clemson. And I'm like you, Mike. I don't get all giddy anymore. I was a giddy guy not that long ago. And I don't know if it'll be considered having Robert Kimdichie syndrome, but maybe that's a little bit of what I have, because from everything we were picking up, now my folks down at Ole Miss were telling me he's coming to Ole Miss, and they were telling me that for a while. They felt very confident about it, even when he was committed to Clemson. These guys felt like he was coming to Ole Miss. But I can tell you, I thought for sure, I honestly believe for sure that Robert Kimdichie was going to go with his boys over his brother. I thought that it was going to be a nice little trio of Grayson coming to Clemson. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And since then, as giddy as I've gotten in the past about recruiting rankings and players, and I've always told you here, I'm not the big recruiting guru. I'm not calling these players. Now, I may have to start doing some of that. But I don't want to be somebody who's so invested in possibility. It just, look, can it work out? Can every player that's on the board sign? Yes. Does it happen more often than not? Yes. But have we gone on the radio and gone on this show before and been so excited about this great guy, coming to Clemson? I remember when Daquan Bowers was coming to Clemson and was a commit, and everybody was excited about Daquan signing and coming and how big that was. And I think because of that, I kind of got the same feeling about Robert Kimdichie. So I don't get overly excited about these guys anymore. But when you start to look at it, when you start to see Deshaun Watson, the things he's saying, the leadership characteristics he has, the way these guys are starting to help each other recruit and bring in players, couple that with last year's class being able to really protect a number of great talents and giving them an opportunity to redshirt. Now what you get into is something that you don't see often, but happens from time to time when players really explode. And that is the player who sits out his freshman year and then by the time he is a redshirt sophomore has 3 years removed from high school and can turn pro. That's the only downside to ever redshirting a tremendous talent. Because then you only get 2 years worth of football out of him. And I'm not sure who those guys are on this team, who the redshirt freshmen are on this team, who could be that type of impact player in that the redshirt sophomore class that could leave. I don't know who that'll be. Is there somebody in that class? Is a guy like Hopper? Is he a wide receiver threat? I know he's a smaller guy. But after a couple of seasons with that red shirt, that's 3 years, would he have the numbers in this system to say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and take my talents to the NFL? I mean, I don't know who that player is or players. That's the only fear that you ever start getting, but that opens up more spots for better recruits to come in to fill those spots and gaps. And I'll tell you, this team has done a tremendous job. I think my biggest question as we move forward with this team, it's not about the players we're bringing in, and maybe some degree on the offensive and defensive line. Can we continue to fix things on the offensive line, obviously, but on the defensive line, can we find those elite rush ends and not miss out on some? Can we land one in this cycle, an elite defensive end prospect? But when you look down the road, when you continue to kind of see the way things are playing out, the thing that I look at right now, and I know there are going to be some people that are going to say Chad Morris will be here a while. Some people say Chad Morris is gone after this year, but I don't care to discuss that right now. The defensive identity. I feel like we know what we're getting each and every week when you tune in to watch Clemson football. And we talked about it being one of the most exciting programs in the country. We've talked about the speed and the pace of this team, the fact that other coaches in America, even the Urban Meyers of the world, are watching and seeing what Clemson is doing and what's more specifically what Chad Morris is doing. There have been the questions of, is Clemson grooming somebody to follow him up? Is it going to be somebody like Jeff Scott? I think that's something people are talking about a lot. But certainly the defensive identity, what is that? because I don't think anybody's really sure. I think you get this idea, or at least you had this idea a couple of years ago with a couple of young stud freshmen, high school All-American, All-World players coming in, Tony Stewart, Stephon Anthony, that Clemson was going to turn back into linebacker U. Now we're waiting to see, is that going to come to fruition this season? And when you think about Oklahoma, so many of those Brent Venable defenses causing turnovers, havoc in the secondary, safeties who were just laying you out. And look, Travis Blanks played fantastic his freshman year. I thought he was unbelievable last season. Not too many games, not too many times was he in the game where I said, this kid's not having a good game. Most of the time, Blanks was all over it. But does this season, or can this season, I should say, become the year where this defense finally shows you its identity? Because I think truly all the weaponry, all the points we can score, I mean, what's a disappointing season for you right now? Because for me, 35 points a game is a disappointing season. I want to hit the 40s Clemson averaged 41 last year. And I know you have a couple of games where you kind of run it up on somebody. You have some games where you don't score so much too. But I would say to you right now that 35 points a game for me is a disappointing year. And defensively, you know you're going to be out there more with this offense. Where would your defensive number be? Where's the disappointing total on defense? Is it somewhere around what Alabama and some of the great teams have had in the recent years? National championship teams, 9 points to 14 points a game? Because personally, that's not a realistic expectation for me. It might be for you. You might be the guy who's, back in the day, we used to not give up a touchdown and nobody scored. You might be that guy. But I'm of the realization this is a different era of college football. It's a wide open game. For most teams, scoring is up. For most teams. The question becomes, though, where are you disappointed? What's that point total? Because for me, it's probably in the 21 range. If we're giving up 21 points per game, I have a problem. Even though we could be beating teams by 20 or more points every outing, that's too many points for me. I'd like to see this team defensively this year cut the opponents down to about 17 or 18 points per game. And I know that's asking an awful lot of this team. But if you're going to be an elite national championship caliber football program in America, and Craig in the chat room makes a great point. He says, man, points don't matter. It's all about wins. You can score 7 a game and give up none and win every game. He's fine with that, I guess. And I get that. I mean, it makes sense. But where I'm kind of getting you is, can we have a defense this year that shows America that Clemson is not only one of the best teams offensively? We know that. I don't know that I would want any other offense in the country. I know there's a lot of flash and dash at Oregon. And I've said if I got to have a quarterback in the country, I don't want Teddy Bridgewater and I don't want Johnny Heisman. I want Taj Boyd. I don't want anybody else at quarterback. Nobody else in my mind fits this system as well as Taj Boyd. His build, when I see him on the field, I think of a Steve McNair, just a little bit of a Steve McNair. Because Taj Boyd has the weight behind him, and he's not overweight like he kind of ballooned up a little bit a few seasons ago. He's got the ability to pick up those second and third down opportunities there when you're talking about 2 yards, 3 yards. He can hit the hole. I love it. Chris in the chat room says, this is one thing I'm definitely going to miss from the radio show. We got to figure out how to do this. He says, I would like for our defense to smack everyone in the mouth like we did against LSU. Malachi Goodman style. I was thinking the other day, what would Malachi Goodman's career, or how would Clemson fans have thought of Malachi Goodman's career had he played every game as well as he played his final game at Clemson. When you talk about a kid who had a big opportunity, don't get me wrong, it was a huge opportunity coming into Clemson, all the accolades in the world. But you think about a guy who maybe let his career slip by. You saw a ton of talent, 4th-round draft pick, going to have a chance to play on Sundays. But man, oh man, if he could have played the way he played against LSU every game, what could Clemson's defense have been last season? Are you 1, 2, 3 elite players away from really becoming a shutdown defense? Because I think you have to be. I think you have to become that. Doesn't matter about how many hundreds, 40, I don't care how many points you're putting up offensively. Your defense has got to be better, and that's going to be a huge key for Clemson this season. That's kind of where my mind is. Will those guys like Stephon Anthony step up this season? Tony Stewart, somebody who really we haven't seen on the field all that often. Or maybe even Kellen Jones, the transfer from Oklahoma. How will he do? That's my big question for you this week. Will Clemson's defense find its identity in 2013? And if they do, how scary can this team be? We'll be back next week, Sunday night, 9 p.m., the day before our official show kickoff here in Columbia on July the 15th. So looking forward to that. I hope you'll join us then. I don't know what we'll talk about next Sunday night, but I guarantee you we'll have a great time doing it. Until then, I'm your host, Lawton Swan, signing off. And as always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers!